Hello guys, welcome to the Harvard Lab. My name is Babatunde and today we're going to be talking about finding the absolute value of a number. So what this means is we're just going to be finding how the amount of steps it takes for a number to get to zero, right? So we're gonna analyze the number and we're gonna ask ourselves how many times do I have to increase the number or decrease the number to get to zero, right? So we're gonna see like how much steps it takes to get to zero, right? So let's say we're working with two, right? For two to get to zero, we have to reduce it by one, right? So it has to be from two to one, right? So we go two and one before it gets to zero, right? And then if you want to count the amount of steps it takes, right? It goes from two, which is this first step, and then one, which is the second step. So that means it has two steps, right? That's the same concept we're gonna put in here. So look at this. This telling us to find the absolute value of 10. Right, so as you can see, the number is in between these lines, right? Don't let these lines fool you. These lines, there's nothing to be worried about. All you have to do is we're gonna apply the same concept as I said earlier in this video. All we're gonna do is we're gonna count the amount of steps it takes for 10 to get to zero, right? Okay, so let's get to work. Okay, so for 10 to get to zero, we have to reduce it by one, right? And for us to do that, we have to say we're gonna be counting like a bomb right now. We're gonna be like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and all of that. Right? So this is 10, comma 9, comma 8. Because remember we have to get to zero first. And when we get to zero, that's when we can stop. Right? And we'll count the amount of steps it takes for us to get to zero, right? So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then zero, right? So we can stop over there, right? Okay. So basically all we have to do now is we just have to count the amount of steps it takes for us to get to zero, right? So we're gonna have to count the amount of steps from 10 over here to one, right? So that's basically just saying one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 steps, right? So that's all we're gonna do. We're gonna put in 10 steps over here because that's the amount of steps it takes for us to get to zero. Okay, so let's look at this minus 12. Minus 12 for it says minus 12 like this. So for minus 12 to get to a zero, it has to increase, right? So so in this case, instead of decreasing like 10 here, it has to increase. So it has to go from minus 12 to minus 11, minus 10, minus 9, minus 8, because minus 12 here is the smallest number it can get to, right? Okay, so based on this number line, this is minus infinity to zero to infinity, right? This is how every number in the world goes, right? So this negative infinity is basically saying from the smallest number we can ever get, right? Let's think of we don't know the number, that's why I'm saying infinity. So right, the number goes from negative infinity to zero to positive infinity, right? So let's say negative five. Let's open negative five. Negative 5 goes from negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1 before it gets to 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so on and so forth. Right? So that's the same concept here. We're going to have to start from negative 12 to negative 11, negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, like that, right? So let's look at this. This is negative 12 to negative 11 to negative 10 to negative 9 to negative 8 to negative 7 to negative 6 to negative 5 to negative 4, negative 3, comma negative 2, comma negative 1, and then 0. So we're going to count the steps. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 steps, right? Okay, so come over here and put 12. Check that out. Okay, so let's do more practice. Um, yeah, you can kind of test yourself. You can pause the video and kind of test yourself and see if you had just try to test yourself. Yeah. Okay, so based on what I said earlier, this is 14, right? It's in between these lines, right? So I have to count the amount of steps it takes for 14 to get to 0, which is 14, comma 13, comma 12, comma 11, comma 10, comma 9, abound, right? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, right? Okay, so if you want to count the amount of steps for it before it gets to 0, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Right? So it takes 14 steps before 14 gets to 0. Right? So this is 14. So we'll do the same thing for -5. This is -5, right? Equals, and remember, since it's a negative, we have to increase it to get to 0, right? This is -5 to a -4 to a -3 to a -2 to a -1 and then 0, right? Okay, so this is the first 2, 3, 4, 5. Takes 5 steps, right? So this is just 5. So check that out. Yeah. So this is really simple. Um, uh, a good a trick I would show you guys. I'll just tell you is, whenever you're dealing with this kind of problem, just look at the number in between these lines, and then put it in, right? Just put in as that's whatever you see in between those lines. Just put in a positive value of it, right? But so in this case, right, this -5, the it's a negative value, right? And when we're counting values, the values can never be a negative number. We can't just count something and say it's a negative, right? So this from -5, before if we want to count it to 0, we have to remove the negative and put a positive, right? But if the number is positive, say we're working with 14 in this case, all you have to do is just copy 14, and that's just it. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope it really helped you out, and have a nice day.